Hello, welcome back to Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching. This is Irene. Hello again from India. Again. Yes, I'm still here. I'm enjoying my stay. I've seen more cows than I can count. I visited some mala shops. I am living the yogi dream right now. So today I wanted to introduce you to a special guest. Her name is Irene. And she is a yoga practitioner, she is an Ayurvedic practitioner, and she's also a massage therapist. So, hello Molly, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Hello Erin, thank you so much for having me.
Yay!
To you listeners out there, Erin and I met here at Indus Valley Ayurvedic Center in Mysore while she was having a short stay before her yoga teacher training in downtown Mysore. And I saw her from afar and I said, "Who's that? I want to be friends with that person." And we became instant friends and have so much to talk about all the time. Yay. So it's an honor and a joy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so Molly is, she's a very interesting person. Like, we clicked right away. And I thought that it would be wonderful for her to share, how did you get into Ayurveda? Like, what did that path look like for you? Maybe we can talk about the doshas, but I've been impressed with, just to kind of sidetrack and then we'll get to Molly, but the practitioners, the doctors here at the Indus Valley Ayurvedic Center, I almost said yoga center, they've been like really informative, but anything that I didn't understand, I went right to Molly, and Molly has a way of explaining things in a simple way that's like very palatable, very understanding, and her examples are very relatable. So, and she knows her shit. So I'm super excited to have you talk about Ayurveda. So why don't you take it away?
All right, thank you. So just a little background, I got really into yoga in college in Boulder, Colorado, and a few years later I did my yoga teacher training, my first yoga teacher training on the Big Island of Hawaii, and that is when I first got introduced to Ayurveda. We had an Ayurvedic section of our yoga teacher training, and I loved that part. We did find your constitution, find your prakriti questionnaire between how much vata, pitta, kapha are you. That was really fun, and so a seed was planted then. And I got really into my yoga journey and teaching yoga shortly after I moved to the Big Island. Met an amazing friend at my training who welcomed me into the island, helped me get integrated, showed me aloha. And I got really into teaching yoga and practicing yoga. I was originally trained in Hatha yoga, traditional, and then I got really into Anusara and Vinyasa and into teaching yoga there. And after a few years, I realized that I wanted to take my education further. I thought it was to do even more advanced yoga training, but I realized that I was really interested in Ayurveda, and I read a book called Yoga and Ayurveda that further sparked my interest. And so in about 2016, I went to California for a couple years, to Sebastopol, California, and I studied with Deanna Batdorf at the Dhyana Center. And I was just doing a 6-week program in Ayurveda, but I fell in love, I became obsessed, and I ended up moving there for 2 years to do my internship with her. Really hands-on. She incorporates Tibetan medicine, Ayurveda, and also other styles of medicine and Western herbalism, and she's a profound body worker, aromatherapist. So slightly less traditional, very hands-on, very
sounds like she made it her own. Like, you found a master, basically.
Yeah, definitely made it her own. She was a pulse master. She was really good at pulse reading. And she just always encouraged the students to get right in there. And after that, I went back to the Big Island. I got my massage license so that I could start to work on people doing these treatments. And then I wanted to do this online program with Kerala Academy, but online learning doesn't work very well for me. So I didn't do it. And then as soon as the lockdowns happened, immediately I signed up for the program because I figured if I'm locked down and I can't go anywhere,
what else am I going to do?
I'm going to do this online program. So I joined in with Kerala Academy, which is an amazing school. They're originally based from Kerala, India, but they have a whole school, US-based school in Milpitas, California. So you can attend in person there if you live there, or you can attend mostly online. And then I had my first India internship with them last year. And so that's how I circled back to India. I'd been here 13 years ago for yoga, but I came back last year for my Ayurvedic internship for my practitioner program. And then after my internship, I came to Mysore because I have a Vedic astrologer. Her name's Irene. She's amazing. And she had lived in Mysore for a long time. And she said, I think you'd really like Mysore. So after Kerala and Bangalore, I made my way to Mysore. And I was in downtown Gokulam, which you've heard this buzz name a lot, even though your shala isn't in Gokulam. Most of the Ashtanga shalas are in Gokulam.
I just got a taste of that actually right before I came here. That's just like yoga shops on every corner, and I saw like a Patabi Joyce themed shop, I guess. So yeah.
You went to Gokulam?
Yeah, I went to Gokulam. That's where I saw the malas and the...
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's where I talked with that lady. Yeah.
Amazing cafes, organic food, natural food shops, little Ayurvedic shops, they have a little Ayurvedic center, just a dream. I love that place. But I had gotten there after being in more of a natural setting, and it was still, it was buzzing. It's still India, even though it's very quaint and charming and mild for a place in India. I was there for a few days and I realized, I want to be back in nature. Gokulam's awesome, but I want to be back in nature. Funny enough, now Gokulam attracts me even more. But it's a great place. But I was just sitting at a cafe having my chai, and I was also missing being saturated in Ayurvedic learning at the time. I had just learned for 2 months and I wanted more. So I'm sitting in a cafe in Gokulam and I search Ayurveda Mysore, and I found this place, Indus Valley. And I had a lot more time in India. I was going to go a lot more places, but I came here and I stayed for the rest of my trip last year because I connected with one of the doctors here. I asked when I first came if I could learn from a doctor, and the doctor I was paired with just became my teacher. So his name's Dr. Jassim. He happened to be Erin's doctor too. When she came, everybody who comes here gets a doctor, and so we had the same doctor. And I would go to him and tell him like what Erin needed, or why did you give her this medicine? And
I really got the royal treatment from two practitioners, two doctors, really, essentially.
Yeah. So he's a doctor, I'm a practitioner, but he'll call me, so people here will call me a junior doctor, which I love. But in American terms, I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner. But anyway, I started learning from him last year and just fell in love with this place and all the people here. And he just became my mentor. And I went back to the Big Island last year, stayed for a little while, and then just felt I needed to come back to India. So that's where we end up today, as I came back here for a training program. So even though I've completed my training, I am currently in an additional training. Everybody asks me if I'm going to have some kind of certificate after this, but not necessarily. It's just that I'll know I'm that much more capable. And so my training that I'm in now is a Panchakarma training. So what I'm doing here is having an hour lesson with my doctor every day to go over theory and concepts, and then a few hours of training with the lead therapists who are teaching me all the therapies. So some of them I already know, the Shirodara, the Abhyanga, but I'm learning their steps, and I'm learning how to make all the formulations, and I'm learning everything I wanted to learn. So
the treatments are pretty luxurious in Ayurveda, and you know, I haven't had a practitioner on the show yet who has had the knowledge of the treatments that you have, like Panchakarma, and you mentioned a couple like Shirodara and Abhyanga. So for our listeners at home, like, you know, I want to cover all the things, but maybe you can explain some of these treatments, including Panchakarma, and then whether before or maybe after talk about doshas and like constitution and such.
Yeah. So
I just want to say, like, I know that my listeners can't see because we're not doing a video. This one is just audio. But like Molly has the Indian head bobble down, like Pat, and I don't even know if she realizes it. And like I'm doing it now too, which I picked up on it pretty quick. So we're like head bobbling to each other, which is just a really funny like Indian quirk that's very endearing and sweet and slightly vague. But anyways, I just wanted to share that little gem of joy with you as she gets.
Was I bobbling now?
You were bobbling the whole time.
Really?
We're bobbling towards each other. It's really funny. We're just very like we're in tune. We're adaptive, you know. So bobble away.
I love it. It's the sweetest body language. If any of you ever come to India or you've been to India and you get a good head bobble with a smile, it's just like there's something about it. It's a mysterious. I used to be like, what is this head bobble? But now I don't even question what it is. And when I go places where there's no head bobble, I'm pretty sad.
You're
it's
like, give me more bobble.
It's a mode of communication. More bobble.
More bobble.
So yeah, it sounds like we'll work a little bit from more complex kind of ideas into maybe more basic Ayurvedic understanding.
Sounds good.
So Panchakarma, this is a big mystery I find for people, and even for me until last year when I came for my internship, even though I was learning about Panchakarma, I wasn't really grasping it until I was here. But hopefully I can present a graspable understanding of it. So Panchakarma is basically, to me, it's the culmination of everything we do in Ayurveda. It brings together nutrition, herbal medicines, treatment therapies, and lifestyle all in one experience. And while in the West and certain places you could have what they call a Panchakarma for a shorter amount of time, I would call that a modified Panchakarma. If it's anywhere less than 2 weeks, it might be like a portion of a Panchakarma. But from my understanding, a true traditional Panchakarma is at least 2 weeks long. And what Panchakarma actually means is 5 actions. And these 5 actions, don't get scared here, okay? I'm going to break it down. You don't have to do them all. The 5 actions are Basti, which is medicated enema or oil enema, Virechana, which is purgation, Vamana, which is emesis, induced vomiting, Nasya, which is medicated nasal oil, and Rakta Moksha, which is bloodletting or leech therapy.
Wait, pause. Do they still do leech therapy?
In India, yes. And some doctors in the U.S. do leech therapy as well.
Do they do leech therapy here? Like, are you going to get eaten by leeches?
I don't see it anywhere, but apparently they will bring it in if needed. It's not used often. It's only used when there's more serious blood disorder or skin disorder, skin-blood relationship. I've always wanted to get the leech therapy, but
I kind of want to just to say that I did it. You know,
I know it's really cool. I've seen it done in my internship, but they won't give it to you if you don't need it. And that's the thing about
it's
Ayurveda.
like sucking your life force essentially out.
Well, actually, bloodletting is really good. So Ayurveda, they won't do anything that you don't need in their perspective, but they will still say that bloodletting is a good practice. So modern doctors will say, when you have blood taken or you give blood, I forget the name of when a doctor or naturopath will actually, not to donate blood, but they'll take blood out if you have too much like iron in your blood. It's phlebotomy, maybe. I might be wrong on that. Something to do with the vein. And so some form of bloodletting. There's, women menstruate every month, so they actually get to have a bloodletting.
Oh, sure. And
there's a cleansing process in that.
Sure.
And some modalities of acupuncture, they'll hit points if allowed, depends on the rules. It's, this kind of stuff's highly regulated in the US. But you'll get some bloodletting to happen from a certain area. So bloodletting is an amazing practice, but unfortunately, unless you have a specific blood or skin disorder, they won't do leech therapy on you. Okay. But I've seen it done, and it's really cool.
No
and it doesn't
for me.
hurt. Here's the cool thing about leeches is they have, their saliva has a numbing effect.
Oh.
Yeah. And so it doesn't hurt when they suck on. Yeah.
I guess that's how you don't notice them if you're like, in a swamp or something and you have some leeches. Like that's why, you'd have to like check yourself. So okay, sorry, I got a little sidetracked. I just I'm sure people listen like, wait, what the fuck? Say leech therapy. So, but you explaining it and like having given blood and like that whole like your body like it sort of like activates it to produce more
new blood.
Yeah, exactly. So I can understand that.
Yeah, it's super good for you. Yeah. So those are the 5 actions. I find there's a lot of confusion around Panchakarma, but Panchakarma literally refers to those 5 actions. Pancha, 5, karma, action. Those are the 5 actions. Now, if you were to come to a Panchakarma, very rarely, I've never seen it, and it's probably very rare that you would do all 5 actions. You'd have to be here for a really long time, and you'd have to have all of the doshas vitiated, and you'd have to have all kinds of issues, but at the same time be strong enough to go through all of that, because Panchakarma is contraindicated in very old age, childhood, and extreme weakness. So you can't actually go through these cleansing therapies. These 5 actions are known as cleansing therapies. You can't go through them if you're extremely weak. So to be able to have the strength and have all the issues involved to need all 5, I've not seen it done. I need to research that more. Usually it's 1, 2, or 3. So I've seen people just receive one of the 5 karmas, or in my case, I'm going through treatment therapies right now. It's 2. Actually, it's 3 because there's Nasyam. So 1, 2, or 3. And I guess I can just explain for those of you who do know about the doshas. We can break down the doshas later, but if you do know about the doshas, the enema, the vasti is particularly good for vata imbalance. The virechana, purgation, is particularly good for pitta imbalance, and the vamana induced, the emesis induced vomiting is particularly good for kapha and the mucus up in the upper channels. So that enema releases that vata, the air, out of the body. The virechana purges the excess heat, the excess pitta out of all of the digestive organs. So now we have all these amazing treatment therapies. Okay, where does that fit in? The Abhyanga, the oil massage, sitting in a sweat box, Udvartana, medicated scrub, the Shirodhara, which is a steady stream of oil poured to the head, the Takradhara, which is medicated buttermilk poured all over the head for 30 minutes straight. The Netra Tarpana, which you are getting.
I am getting that in a little less than an hour.
Yep.
I'm going to have ghee goggles.
So, yeah, ghee goggles. That's a ghee eye bath. We put it, and any of you can Google these names. You'll see pictures. So it's helpful to see pictures to these things. So Abhyanga, Shirodhara, Takradhara, and now we're talking about Netra Tarpana. And so we put a dough dam around the eyes, and then we put warm ghee there, and you're laying face up.
So good.
It cleanses the eyes. It helps the nerve endings at the back of the eye, so it helps the nerve, the eye, nerve, brain, mind connection. So these, and the pores on the forehead are really special for the mind and brain. They reset the system, the limbic system, and the hormones and all of that. The endocrine system.
Because the pituitary and the pineal gland are like in the head, or Anya chakra.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a brain massage. And you it's not a trickle
Now
oil.
I'm even more excited. See, Molly has a way, like I could read things online, I could even talk to the doctor, which by all means, he's fantastic, but Molly has a way of explaining things in a way that I feel like Forrest Gump, like, Molly has a way of explaining things I can understand. No, Molly has a way of explaining things that she's, infuses good examples, simple language, but also like she's very passionate about it. So it's like I'm learning just as much as my listeners are right now.
Yay. Yeah, so the Shirodhara and the Takradhara. So again, I know these words are hard to grasp at first, for sure. The Shirodhara is a steady pour of medicated oil, and the Takradhara is a steady pour of medicated buttermilk. They have slightly different qualities, but they're both this brain massage. And just to be clear, this is not a trickle of liquid on your forehead. That feels awful. It's
That's like Chinese water torture, right?
And if someone's not doing it right, you just want to smack the thing out. And it's a tricky treatment in the way that it has to be done right.
Steady stream, no sound in the room, and then you're actually catching the oil at the base and then making sure it's the right temperature. Perfect temperature, just warm, not too hot, not too cool, and then you're pouring it back into the copper pot, and you're doing that as quietly and gracefully as possible, so that the person receiving never really feels a disruption. They just feel this steady pour, and then the practitioner therapist is taking the pot sometimes and moving it back and forth over the forehead. And you received one of these? I received some form of Shirodhara, maybe combined with one of the other therapies, because that definitely happened to me at least twice while I was there.
Good. How did you feel?
At first I was like, whoa, I was like a little nervous about the swinging. Like, I was like, is it going to get in my eye?
Yeah.
But they used the cotton pads on my eyes. It was very soothing. And I want to ask, before I forget, the copper. There's a lot of copper use, copper pots, copper mugs I've seen. Is there a reason for the copper?
Yeah, I don't have a really good answer right now. I know that copper will increase the Agni, like if you drink out of a copper cup. It's really good for your Agni, your digestive fire.
Oh, okay. I mean, that in itself is...
But as terms of... all I know right now to say is that it's just a really good metal. I'll have to ask the doctor about that, why there's copper bathtubs and why there's copper pots.
There's in the facial analysis, the cell salts that I use, copper is touted as a very powerful hormone balancer.
Yeah, it is that too. It for sure is
that would be worth the price of admission right there.
Yeah, there's probably multiple reasons why copper is so powerful. I just know it's good. That's all I know.
We'll have to do
copper,
another podcast.
Good. I mean, copper, you don't want too much copper in your system for sure, but vessels made out of copper, I know, have a number of benefits for sure.
I'll have to get some
Agni and hormones being, but yes, I'll have to go ask them. I'm going to add that to my list of questions for the day. Is exactly. I understand why you would drink water out of a copper cup, but I never asked exactly why we use it for Shirodhara. So.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support the podcast and if it's helping you, please consider writing a review. You can go to iTunes or Google Play, go into the search bar and type in Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching, scroll down, and you can leave a review. This helps other people to find me as well as bumps us up in the search ratings. Also, this podcast is sponsor-free, so that means we don't receive anything for doing it. If you feel so inclined and this podcast is helping to support you and you want to return the favor and help to support any production costs of the podcast, feel free to give a donation to a Venmo link, Thrive Yoga Fit, or PayPal, Aaron@aaroncoach.com. If you don't have the means, don't worry about it. We're not going anywhere. You're all good. But if you would like to give back, you can give back in those ways. Thank you so much. Namaste.